This is a Film Stories original podcast.
Have you heard about the 2018 study that showed half of prenatal vitamins tested had unacceptable levels of heavy metals? No? Well, now you have. I'm Kat, mother of 3 and founder of Ritual, the company making traceability the new standard in the supplement industry. I remember staring at my prenatal vitamins and finding all these things I was trying to avoid. High amounts of heavy metals, synthetic colorants, and unnecessary ingredients. So, at 4 months pregnant, I quit my job and started Ritual because I believe that all women deserve to know what they're putting in their bodies and why. I'm so proud of our prenatal vitamin. The ingredients are 100% traceable, it's third-party tested for microbes and heavy metals, and recently received the Purity Award from the Clean Label Project. You see, we trace like a mother because, let's be honest, no one cares quite like a mother. But don't just take my word for it. Trace for yourself with 25% off at ritual.com/prenatal.
We made this.
Hello, and welcome to the XCast. The truth is in here. This is our special Fight the Future Minute podcast, and I'm your host, Cortlan Waters Bartley. You're listening to our coverage of minute 17 of the X-Files Fight the Future, which starts at 16 minutes and 0 seconds with Scully answering Mulder's call. And for the sake of simplicity, I'm actually going to propose that we end this minute at 16 minutes 55 seconds, right before Scully starts giving orders. I'm here with XCast patron and recurring guest, Cathy Glinski. Hi again, Cathy.
Hi, Cortlan.
To recap, where we're picking up here in minute 17 is Mulder is locked in the vending machine room with a bomb he has just discovered. And Scully, skeptical as ever, is going to answer his phone call, which is exactly where we ended our previous minute. So, of course, Scully answers his phone call and does not believe anything that he says.
Yeah, this was really a perfect setup. It was set up perfectly by this scene on the rooftop with her little joke, and we get the sense that they tease each other a lot, and maybe Mulder's not happy that he lost the last bet, and so he's going to turn the tables and pull a prank on Scully. So it's really, really the perfect setup.
I really, really love the look on her face where she's like right as she's coming up to the door and she kind of shakes it a little and it's like really locked. So she can't open it. Yeah. And she's like, she's so tired of it. She's like, okay, it's over. I won. Why are we still doing this?
Right. Yeah.
Because of course, Mulder has almost certainly done this kind of thing. When it's really been a joke.
Yes. Yeah. Well, just when he says, I found the bomb, she's like, oh, nice try, Mulder. She's just not buying it at all. And it's really funny. And
and it's exactly how she reacts, even when he has found other crazy things.
This is true.
Yep. Yeah. This is normal.
Yeah. And can't you just see that he would draw out a prank even when she's not buying it? And so the fact that he starts counting down the bomb and she's still not sure if he's joking or not. She's a little suspicious that, okay, why is he dragging this on? I've already told him I'm not buying it. But you get the sense that he would be that kind of joker, that he would just keep going and going and going.
Right. Until you're finally like, okay, I'm leaving. This is it.
Yeah,
that's done.
Right.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I think we have to hand it to, we've talked in previous minutes about the black-haired man. The guy who leaves the vending machine room right before Mulder comes in. I think thinking about this setup that we're in now, where Mulder is locked in the room, but not just locked in the room. The door is like welded closed.
Yeah, the lock is fused.
Yes. We have to hand it to this guy because he presumably had this plan to lock the door. But he got in there. He set up this bomb, or at least activated the bomb. I don't know. He didn't look like he had been delivering a whole vending machine, but
didn't have anything in his hands as he was leaving.
Right. So maybe he just turned the timer on. I don't know.
That's what it is. Yeah.
But then also exited, even though Mulder went in, played it cool and was like, I'm just going to lock this guy in. And welded the key. Yeah. And then welded the key thing shut and no one noticed.
Yeah. That's pretty impressive.
That's pretty quick.
Yeah. I think that it had to have already been welded shut before Mulder walked in. And it just, maybe he had it propped open and he was leaving and Mulder went in. And, if everyone in the building's going to die anyway, it doesn't really matter that Mulder's going to die in the vending room with the bomb.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Okay. I mean, I don't think that the black-haired man really spared a thought for Mulder's life in this scenario.
This is true.
But yeah, I hadn't really thought about maybe he did all of this welding business before.
I don't know anything about how locks and welding works, but he been doing that during that silent minute where we watched Mulder shake the vending machine. I mean, it had to have been done before, right?
I guess.
But still, no one noticed. That's
still,
impressive.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I mean, good for him. I feel like when I'm watching the Syndicate or any of the Syndicate operatives, I always think, boy, could they be a little more bumbling?
Right.
I'm usually not very impressed by their tactics.
No, not at all.
But this guy, I think, really, he had his plan together.
He did. Yeah.
Good for him.
Good. Yeah. Well, way to go, black-haired man. You did it. If it wasn't for Mulder, he would have pulled this off.
He was so close. Mulder just had to lose a bet. One thing I did think about, though, throughout this whole bomb scare sequence, really, and I have no idea about that. I don't know anything about protocols in this scenario. But if the FBI really did suspect a bomb in what is clearly a very populated area of downtown Dallas, what are all these people doing here? We talked about in one of our earlier minutes, there's like a field trip, maybe?
Yeah. Wouldn't they have... when they call in a suspicious threat to a school, they kind of block off the whole area surrounding the place that's suspicious. Why wouldn't they do that with this? Why do they let the field trip proceed so that children are in this building right across the street, which is clearly in the blast zone if something was going to happen? Yeah.
Right. And that's I don't know the layout of the streets or anything like that, but I've always sort of assumed that this building that Mulder and Scully are checking is more or less right across the street from the one that the FBI is actually searching.
Yeah, because you can
kind of get that view. Yeah.
See them from across the street when Michaud is on the federal building. He looks across and he sees Mulder and Scully on the rooftop. So clearly they're within visible distance.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
And even if they didn't, want to evacuate all of the buildings there, maybe they, don't want to cause that kind of panic or that's just not their job. I don't know. But surely they would have canceled things like field trips. I don't know. I just every time watching, especially this time, I just wonder, like, what are all these people still doing here? If even presumably they can see the FBI and fire department,
right?
like at the building. What are they doing?
Yeah.
I don't know. Interesting to me.
Yeah,
that all of those things are sort of happening simultaneously.
Yeah, maybe they didn't really take the threat seriously. I don't know. Because we'll respond and we'll look at the federal building, but we don't really think anything's going on, so don't pull out all the stops.
Right. I don't know. I always think about that a little bit. Like, boy, maybe we could have widened our radius just a little. if we think maybe a whole building, like a large building,
right, might explode. Yeah. Let's keep the children away at least.
Like non-essential personnel. Right.
Yeah.
Non-essential people should not be in like a 4-block radius of this.
Yeah.
But okay. Anyway, so Mulder is going to convince Scully that there's really a bomb in the vending machine.
Yeah.
Which does again sound not probable, but it is true in this instance. And so he counts down. Like verbally counts down.
Yeah.
And I always think that that's a really good way for us to realize, there are 14 minutes until this bomb is, as opposed to just showing us a counter.
Right. It's a very effective way to bring home the dire situation, but it also is a great way to convince Scully that something's really going on. Why would he go be that elaborate and the whole countdown business, Right. I liked that a lot.
Yeah. And again, too, I think this is something that comes up, whenever we talk about the X-Files, the importance of the cell phones. Like, here they are, they're in the same building, but they're they can't see each other, they're physically separated, but they're going to use the cell phones to move the plot forward, which once again is a good use of that I think a really good use of that technology.
Yeah.
Especially for its time.
Right.
I mean, now, of course we would all have our cell phones.
Right. But
we would have just called 911, probably not Scully, but okay.
Yeah. But, even in this movie, they are not consistently on cell phones. So,
right.
Yeah, this was clearly a plot point that they're going to move us forward in this way. It's done very well, I think.
Over the phone.
Yeah.
The countdown. I do think that I thought that whole countdown part, I thought is really well done. Mm-hmm. And it does help too. We talked about in the previous minute how quiet it was. We kind of moved back and forth a little bit in this minute where we're in this really quiet room with Mulder, who is much less quiet now because he's pretty agitated. But also we go out with Scully a little bit too.
Yeah.
Out into the normal world of what's happening outside.
Where everything's going on.
Yes, where other things are still happening.
Yeah.
And I think that kind of ratchets up the tension a little bit too.
It does.
Or at least a sense of urgency about something is really wrong right now.
Right. It's not just Mulder by himself. It's more urgent when Scully's brought into the picture too.
So we're going to end just 5 seconds. We're going to shave 5 seconds off of this minute. Did we miss anything that you have thoughts about, Cathy?
Yeah, well, when she finally sees that the lock is fused, she finally is convinced that there's something going on, and her first response is, "Hold on, Mulder, I'm going to get you out of there." And it's just so, I love seeing her gear up to take charge, and that's where we head into everything else that comes next. But it's just a great little, they're both on the same page, and he's finally communicated to her that there's really something going on, and she's finally sees how intense and how urgent the situation is, and she's gonna. I love that.
Well, yeah. So that definitely brings up two things. I think, first of all, obviously Mulder's pranking abilities do not extend to fusing the door shut.
Right.
So. That's good. We know
Mulder would not go that far.
Right. We know where he draws the line.
Right.
It's at fusing the door shut. And it's really interesting to me that Scully's first comment is, "We're going to get you out of there," because that in no way solves the problem.
Right. Oh, no, it doesn't solve the bomb, but it protects what's important to her. Or
it sure does.
First and foremost in her mind is protect Mulder. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. We're going to get Mulder out of there. Not maybe we can turn off the bomb or let's all leave. I mean, we do. I mean, spoiler alert, that's what happens. But she's going to get him out of there first.
Yeah.
That's just a nice touch.
I think it's also maybe protocol, which we
probably
learn later, that you don't try to deactivate a bomb if you don't have skills in it. So
no, I mean, I would never counsel that Mulder or anyone try to deactivate the bomb. That's
right.
Seems like a terrible idea.
It is a bad idea. But the fact that the first thing that comes to Scully's mind, first thing out of her mouth, is, "We're going to take care of Mulder." I love it.
It is a great, great little piece of their conversation there.
Yeah.
And a good place to end minute 17, unless you have any lingering thoughts about it.
Nope, that was it.
All right. Cathy and I will be back again with minute 18, when basically Scully is going to take over and get some stuff done. So thanks for chatting, Cathy, and thanks everyone for listening. Until next time, as always, trust no one.
Previously on the We Made This Network. The Movie Palace.
All right then, so Some Like It Hot. So yeah, I think the thinking here was just that, I mean, we did the lockdown episode last week. I thought it'd be good to do something light-hearted for the first full film discussion back. And I thought, Some Like It Hot was a very strong contender to be that film. So what are your general thoughts on the film? And like, this wasn't your first watch, was it? I think this is one you'd seen a while ago. Is that right?
Yes, that's true. I'd have to look at Letterboxd probably to pin down when I first saw the film, because that's how I keep track of my film watching. But it was some years ago, I think. I think it was around 5-6 years ago, maybe longer. Observing the Pattern, a Fringe podcast.
I think it's what is it the whole like Peter's like
about Peter being a bit of a nomad.
I think it's just Peter overreacting a little bit.
I think he definitely overreacts, but I think it's a really good. It's a good interaction between these two, and it's a good scene. And I have to admit, I really like Joshua Jackson when he gets kind of intense like that.
Yeah.
For the majority of the show, he's like that as well. But in this scene, I really love.
We dig music.
Ben Folds, or Benjamin Scott Folds, is an American singer-songwriter, musician, composer and record producer from Chapel Hill in North Carolina in America.
North Carolina.
North Carolina.
It's next to North Carolina.
It is. It's sort of in between North and South, that's why it's Snorth.
Yes. Many people would say middle, not Colin.
Snorth, I think Snorth is a better word than middle.
Yeah.
I think middle's overrated. We'll go with Snorth.
Check out all of these shows and more on the We Made This podcast network.
Did you know a 2018 study showed half of prenatal vitamins tested had unacceptable levels of heavy metals? I'm Kat, mother of 3 and founder of Ritual. When I was 4 months pregnant, I couldn't find a prenatal I could trust, so I created my own. Ours is made traceable, third-party tested for heavy metals, and recently earned the Purity Award from the Clean Label Project. But don't just take my word for it. Get 25% off at ritual.com/prenatal.